What's going on, Xylox crew? I just wanted to make a short little video for you guys. I posted it in the Discord last week, but that after the smuggler runs this week, I would be going through and doing some modding and providing a little bit of info on how I use Hotutils and showing some tips and tricks with it. So, because I know we've got some new members with it, some people who have said that they are interested in getting it. So, I just wanted to share how I use it, how it helps make my life so much easier. I think it is hands down the best utility tool for this game, that without it, I really don't know that I would still be playing this game. So, going to the Hotutils website, we're going to just sign in with Discord, and that'll link us up to the account. Now, I'm going to be able to see things and access stuff that you guys won't, being an officer, but I'm going to just simply show how I interact with it as a member and how I do, particularly over here, the mods section. So, first off, if you haven't ever seen it, this is kind of what Hotutils looks like. And my first step I always do is sync up my account. So that way there is the most recent data from my profile in here. So we're just going to wait on this to load for a second. Waiting. And I guess while that's loading, this is, you can see we have a green check mark. Everyone in our guild is loaded and registered with Hotutils. So that's good because we use so many bots. That's why this is necessary for you to be registered with them. So specifically, a couple things I want to cover in this video, and I'm going to just break them out by segments in the YouTube video. We're going to talk about mods, and we're going to talk about this other section down here as another option that you can kind of use with it. Won't get into the TW stuff. It's more officer related, but we'll go ahead and we'll jump right into the mods section. And when you do the drop down, you'll see there's a lot of categories here under mods. The primary ones I use are going to be Loadouts, Wizard, and Maintenance. So under Loadouts, essentially what it is a snapshot, a save of a particular mod set. So this first one, 5v5 Wizard, this is my default save. Unit count's 309. It's all of my characters in the game with mods on them, and that is my default that I always go back to before starting any events, GAC, TW lock-in, whatever. And then you can see I have multiple different ones saved here for different events. So the Order 66 is for all the raid, and then we have a couple special missions that I remod for in TB. The one you won't see listed is the Jedi Knight Calcassus mission. Just because you don't see it here does not mean I don't remod for it. I do. And we'll get to that and how I do that under the Wizard here in a moment. I'm sorry for any weird loud sounds or bangs you might hear in the background. Right now my house is being having some work done on it. They're repainting the outside, and because of that they have to reinstall some wood siding and other things, so there might be some loud noises. If it gets too loud, I'm just going to pause the video and then pick it back up when it has ceased. So to use this page, super simple. Basically what you would do is, if you just were about to go take on the raid, then you would just come down here to whichever raid team you wanted to run, and you could just select load. And that would, are you sure you want to apply? It's going to push my mods specifically for my mods team into the game for me. So it's just going to automatically move the mods around. You have to make sure that you have enough credits to do so, but it's just going to push those mods over to build my mods team. Now you can see with each of these boxes, I've got a little image here. That's because I've pre-built these teams specific to the units, and it will allow me to see an image. So if anybody ever asks, hey, can you see the mods for this? This is how I go and share this image that you see. So now, for example, let's say I'm in the game and I'm making some changes to my mods. You can always update, and this will just take a snapshot of whatever you currently have in the game and update this saved profile here with those mods in the game. So that's how you can constantly keep updating as you improve your mods or change things out, get rid of the bad ones. And so then you just keep an actively saved roster of whatever mods you want on particular characters. So a lot of times before I come in here and do anything, I will often double check in game that I have my basic mods on my characters, and then I would update this to ensure I'm working with the most current saved edition. Now, after let's talk about how to get some of these mod loadouts here, because if you just go in and sign in, you're not going to see any of these here. It's just going to probably only show you create new loadout, which that is one way. You can just create new loadout and go from there. I'm personally not a fan of that, unless you're doing one like this, like a generic full roster save, because if you want these images, you'll want to use the wizard. So the wizard will allow you to basically have Hotutils remod your characters for you, and it'll base it on whatever loadouts or specific events that you're trying to mod for. So for example, with the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, I would come in here and select mod for Rote, and then next, and here is where you would add your squad that you want to mod for. Now, right here on the front, you have some preset mods that people have created within Hotutils, and these are basically targets, definitions that you want to mod towards. So whenever somebody asks me, hey, can you go run the mods for the mission? What I do is I come in here and I select the Sverve Jedi Knight Cal Kestis Zepho unlock and add that as the target for what they want to go towards. Now, there's more definitions in here. You can add definitions to your account. I don't get too much into the weeds of that. You can even create your own definitions if you want to. Personally, I find that to be a little above and beyond what's necessary. But just generally speaking here, this is how it looks. And then you can choose either yourself, or if you're creating it for somebody else, you can always go and add somebody's ally code. So in this case, let's say I wanted to go and run mods for somebody else in our guild. Then I would just go and take their ally code from swoga.gg, paste it in, and load their account. And when doing that, once it actually fetches their data, we can see the name pop up, so I know I'm working with the right account. Next, I always skip this. This is essentially if, let's say, you wanted to remod certain characters, but you do not want to change mods from one to another. For example, if you're trying to improve your Jedi Knight Luke, but you don't want to pull any mods from Slacker, then you would just lock Slacker on here, so that way it wouldn't pull from him. Whatever the case may be, whoever you don't want to pull mods from, you would select it. But oftentimes, I want the best mods on the best characters. I don't care to lock any of them because I'm modding it for a specific event or a specific run that I'm not going to be permanently pulling them off of. When we come to this page, a default setting for some reason is always going to be off as do not break mod sets. So I always come in here and turn this on because I don't want it to break mod sets just for specific stat numbers. You may want that, and that's okay depending upon your situation. And this example, I don't want that. I want to get the bonuses paid out, and then I'm just going to hit start automation. It's going to go through and check all of your mods on your roster and compare and find what are the best mods to hit those definitions that we talked about at the beginning. So it sits here and it sorts through all the mods, and as you see, it's already found a match, but it's just looking for maybe a better mod or a better setup for that character to reach whatever the thresholds are that it's searching for. So personally, every time before a Jedi Knight Cal Kestis mission, I come in here and run the wizard so that it can search my account to find the best mods that time, because I'm constantly working on my mods, and I'm constantly, every 2 weeks or so, I'm usually doing a modding session to try to improve my mods. I always run this fresh each TB because I want to have the best mods on my runs. So you can see here it came back green. That means that Wolfman's account had the proper mods to hit all the thresholds that it's looking for. You can see the end of the advanced screen where these are the improvements that it's making, what's going up, what's going down, how it's changing. So you can see originally he was 266, it's pumping him up to 299 for speed, and so on. You can look at all kinds of things depending upon how detailed you want to make it. But so then, since I'm running this for somebody else, I would click next and generate. It won't let you ever change somebody else's mods, but it lets you get the graphics so you can share with them. But if you were doing it for yourself, then let me rerun this through and show you what that would look like. So if I was going to run my own Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, I'm just going to go in here and choose the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, but this time I will choose myself. I'm not going to lock any units. Remember to come change this so it doesn't break your mod sets, and start automation. As it slowly works through this, it's going to find, again, all the mods, but this time on my roster, and make recommendations for it. Personally, when I run this for other people, I feel like it's faster than for my own. I don't know why mine takes so much longer, but ultimately this whole process does not take long at all. It is a pretty quick process, especially if you are able to save loadouts, and if you want to save after you've built it just perfectly, and that's very perfect for the raid, then you can go and never rechange it, never have to rerun it. You're just going to load them straight in onto the characters, and that makes life so much easier. So still going here. Like I said, for some reason I feel like it goes longer on my account, probably because my mods are way worse than Wolfman's. It's gotta really search through the trenches to find decent mods on my account. Just waiting here. We're almost done. Almost done. There we go. So green for both of mine. I hit the thresholds, and this time, instead of asking to generate a image, it can do a couple of things. So first off, this first one is create a backup loadout. So this would take a screen, or a snippet basically, of what your roster currently is. If you did not do what I said on the loadouts and go and make sure that you have saved and updated the most recent loadout, this is a great backup opportunity. Save again. Save this backup loadout just in case, if you're not 100% certain, so that way you can make sure you don't lose your current modding, because the worst part would be you go change your mods and you can't revert them back. So in this case, I always will 9 times out of 10 delete that, but if I'm not 100% certain I have a updated save, I'm going to go ahead and create that backup, because the worst thing is I would just have to delete it afterwards, because it's all fine. Now, if you wanted to curate that permanent loadout that you saw over there on my screen, so for example, I would say Jedi Knight Cal Kestis wrote special mission, then now I would have a saved loadout over there. Now, you can also push it straight to the game if you want to do that, and you have to click that you have read the warnings. If you don't want to push it to game, you can just create the loadout itself without actually changing your in-game mods right now, but oftentimes you're going to want to just push to the game. And now, not all times are you going to be always creating loadouts. Many times I come in here, I uncheck both the first two, because I just want to update my mods to make a run easier for something, or to simply try something different on some sort of event. So I'm just going to go in and push it and then move on. Used to do this a lot with era battles. If I needed to just get a team just a slight bump for a temporary time, then I can sim it every time afterwards. I don't need a permanent loadout for it. So if I press generate now, it would push those Jedi Knight Cal Kestis mods straight into the game for me. I'm not going to do that because we don't need to change it right now. But basically, that's kind of how it works. So once you've created a loadout, you could just click load and load it straight on into the game. Let's say once you're in the game, you decide, oh, hey, this triangle mod works much better for the Bo-Katan mission for my Bo-Katan than the one I previously had saved. Let me swap it. Well, before you come back in here and reset yourself to your regular mods, just click update. You would want to update the units to have whatever your current mods are in game, so that way you in the future will have that better mod set saved. So if I wanted to update for that Bo-Katan mission, then I could say do not add missing characters, I confirm, and then click update. Now, you got to be careful with that because that is going to, again, save a snapshot of whatever you currently have in game. So you definitely don't want to update your base save with a special run because that could really be a pain to have to go back and undo. So you just got to be careful about which mod set you're on. You can see the highlighted blue one is the one I'm working, or that is currently active in game right now. So that is the loadout screen and the wizard screen. There's many, like I showed, different settings for different things you can do based on what you want to go for. You'll see, for example, like with the Bo-Katan mission, there isn't a preset in here for this squad. So if there's not a preset, that doesn't mean I can't create that squad. I would just have to do it manually. So on this page, rather than choosing a preset, I could choose Bo-Katan Mandalore, and then Beskar, Armor, and IG 12 and Grogu. So it's going to select those 3 to add to create my squad, and then I can move on and go through the same steps. So you can create any squad that you want. It's just not necessarily going to be optimized to run to any specific sort of presets or definitions that it wants to get towards. It's just going to mod it as best it can for rote in general, or for whatever you select it for in general. I find oftentimes, especially if I want to create a loadout, I like to come over here to the wizard, create the loadout of whatever squad it is I need. Specifically for like the raid, oftentimes I'm creating these very early on. We don't know the best. There is no definitions, and we're still trying to figure it out with each raid opportunity when it's very early in the process. So I just make the team so that way it only has those 3 characters, those 3, those 5, whatever the case. And then that way, when I go in-game, I can move their mods around in-game. Personally, that's how I like doing it. And then come back here and update this with whatever mods that I found best in the game. So that's how I'm able to swap back and forth mods, and I'm able to run my raids so much faster. I think my record is got to be under 20 minutes of getting all 5 raids done at max score. And it's hands down because of Hotutils, because I can just come in here and click load Tarkin, load Trio, load Hondo, and just load it up into the game, go quick, and then when I'm all done, I just click load my original, and I'm back to my original mods, reset, no problems. Super fast, super easy. So that pretty much covers loadouts and the wizard. The only other remaining one here is the maintenance tab. And this is a great opportunity to help with anything where the way I use it is primarily for mods that I need to find a home for. So the reason I waited till after the smuggler runs was I knew I wanted to get a couple mods to show as examples. You can see these gold mods that I have done. So a lot of times you'll see people ask, hey, what's the best character for this mod to go onto, or, you know, those types of questions. Well, Hotutils will show you the best. It's not always perfect. It's definitely not, but it gives you a very fast, easy idea. So right now on this screen, I have it set to only unequipped. So I'm only looking at the character or the mods that need to find homes. And so what I'll do is I'll go have a modding session in game, get through all of my materials and build up as many good mods as I can, and then I'll come back and I'll find homes for them. Sadly, this wasn't the greatest modding session, only 3 above 20, 1 above 25, but we got several here that need to find homes. And for those that don't know, your mod score is only impacted by units that, or the mods that are on your units. So these mods here are not helping my score by sitting in the roster unused. So if you take mods to 6 dot, or you have mods that are over 15 speed that need to find, that should be on characters, get them on your characters, because that's what's going to help grow your mod score. So for example, this speed protection mod, we can click on it. In here, you can even upgrade it. I believe it really only works with 5 dot mods. I don't think it'll let you upgrade 6 dot mods. I could be wrong on that. But the primary thing I use is the swap tab here. So as you can see, it's going to show all of the characters that it thinks by priority. you could swap out for, and you could set it to sort by the score change, overall improvement amount. For example, if I changed it on Lobot, yeah, that's going to be a heck of a better mod on him, but I don't need it on Loadbot, let's be honest. So this unit priority here comes from this tab over here, I believe, called Playground. Yes. And this playground is a gigantic list of all the characters in the game. And it essentially creates a priority listing of who are your most important units. And so you can go in here and spend time to reorder, resave who's more important. So when it auto tries to mod, it's going to say, well, Darth Bane's more important than Balin Skull. I'm going to make sure Darth Bane gets better mods, especially if they share the same mod sets, the same primaries. It's going to rack and stack and give better mods to your higher listed, because as you can see here, drag and drop units into modding priorities. So basically, when we're looking at this, when I come over here to the maintenance, it's pulling from this list. Now, I personally have never gone through this list and taken the time to rearrange and make my priorities, because I just am, I don't know, maybe lazy, and that I can just come over here and scroll through all 76 recommendations and find the best one. Is that the most efficient? Absolutely not. You definitely can go and find better, or refine your playground to then just make your life easier when you come in here. It should just kind of be your first one off the bat. You're done. So what I like to do is I'll go and see, okay, I've got a 27 speed, 24% protection, and I'll come through here and find which units could use a good improvement. Chewbacca is screaming at me because he's got a whopping 8 speed mod. CLS gets used pretty regularly as a team. He could be improved. Dooku's one that could be improved because I recently added Trench as an option in TW. I need to improve his team. That could be an easy one. Zori's a good one. She's always used. But a lot of these characters, I don't really care too much if they're that much better or not. Chopper, decent choice because Phoenix gets used a lot. But basically, I'm just kind of coming through here, and I'm going to find which unit would make the most important or best improvement on. And now, of course, you've got to pay attention to your primaries. Like Master Qui-Gon, I would love to have more speed on, but he wants health, and so I'm not going to swap it to a protection primary. So just kind of coming through here. What I'm thinking right off the bat is either my Boosh. She could always use more speed. That makes things much more annoying for my Jabba team. Bam, as a pilot, having a 6-dot mod on a GL ship, that's great. Love the Wookiees. So there's a lot of good choices here that could be better improvements. And I think we just found the best improvement, being a GL. He's only got an 18 speed mod, so I'm going to swap that out. I don't even need to scroll further. So I'm going to go ahead and click swap. And you have the option to either push it to the game immediately or wait until the end. Personally, because I've only got like 6 mods to do this to, I just push it each time. You could wait till the end and do it, but I think it's personally easier and better to just push it each time. So that way it goes out. Now, of course, error applying loadout because we're clearly experiencing high demand, and I'm trying to make this video right before TB changes, so that's probably not the best time. So you can see it thinks it made the swap because you can see the 18 speed in here, but I would need to push it to game again in order to actually get that to update. So basically what I would keep doing is just go one mod at a time, go in here, find the swap. You can see how many options it gives you. And triangles are more of the challenging one because you got to find somebody who really wants that the primary. I'm not going to swap it to Slacker. I mean, obviously it's a slower mod too, but he wants crit damage. I'm not going to take that off of him. So you just got to pay attention to which one. But this is such an easy way to see. And it's also, as you notice, it's only showing me speed mods on here. So it's going to recommend to you easy 1-for-1 swaps that would improve the mod you currently have on that unit instantly. You don't have to go play games with, oh, I should have, well, I put a speed mod on the triangle, now I got to go remove a speed from a different one. This just makes it an easy 1-for-1 swap. That does mean it's not always going to be the best ones to apply it to, because a specific character You could get a better setup if you give it to them, per se, like if you swapped out their triangle, you might end up being better off to needing to go swap something else. But this is kind of just a fast, dirty way to update and change things. And as you can see, there are some really crappy mods on my account, and I am slowly working towards trying to get rid of them. Oftentimes when I'm working through this screen, I'm going to have swoga.gg open on the other screen, or on, since I have a gigantic monitor, I only have one monitor, but I think it's like a 40-inch monitor. It's something stupid. I just have it open across next to this, and I'll go and look them up on swoga.gg to see their best mods, because I don't have all of them memorized off the top of my head. There is no chance in heck that's happening. But I do have some of them that are kind of obvious, but there's a lot that need to get replaced. A defense mod here on Mon Mothma, that's dumb. That's not necessary. So what I've been working towards is just slowly coming in here. You get these, you get these 10 speed rolled 3 times. You're not going to take that to a 6-dot mod, but that's something that you could look at and say, hey, I could swap that on one of my lower priority characters, or one of my way old mods. For example, this Chewbacca. Just swapping that out already improves my Chewbacca. Not a ton, but either one of those I can swap out, have an improvement in the short term while I'm still working towards getting better mods. So this is a great tool to help you constantly keep improving the mods already on your roster, and the mods, and helps you kind of, as you're looking at your mod score graph. Let me see, I'm curious if I can pull that up here, and share that. If you're looking at your mod score graph, then what you could do is work towards removing those on the low end and slowly building up the high end of speed mods. And that should be all of our goals as we slowly work to improve our mods. Not just the score itself, but rather the actual thing. So here you can see what the goal should be is to remove these and grow these here on the left side, right? And that takes a ton of time, but I have seen these numbers were up in the hundreds, way up off this graph, especially at 4 and 5 speeds. I had a stupid amount of them, and I have been slowly whittling it down to where now my highest peak is closer to 10 than it was at 5. It used to be 5 and just kind of a straight downward slope. Now at least that curve, that spike of the most speed mods I have, is getting closer to 10. And then slowly it'll push to 15 and then 20, and just slowly keep pushing this big wave further and further to the right. And this tool will help you do that. It'll make your life a lot easier to find homes. And there's so many mods here that I could put on lower end characters that, in TW you might throw out to try to get a cleanup. You might try to do something crazy with, and that will help you quite a bit. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, the last kind of chapter for this video, is this other tab down here. This other tab is SE Gear, Swoga Events Gear, and it will take us to a different website where we can utilize, if you're a premium subscriber, you can find out what is left for your units in terms of gear and relic materials in order to get the next characters, or I'm sorry, to continue to unlock, words failing me. Basically, it can show you what gear you need, relic material you need in order to take a character up. So for example, if I wanted to take my Lord Vader to relic 10, then it could show me how many materials I still need left. So this was a poor example because I have everything already, but you can see we have a needed, we have a required, we have how much you currently own. So to take him up to relic 10, you need 20 impulse, 20 arrows. You can see I have 120, 120, so on. I have all the materials needed, so I could just take him up straight away. Let's say, as you saw originally, I was looking at era characters, but for some reason that was not showing. I don't have any characters not at relics. Let's see if maybe Hotutils Shan will actually show me. Likely not. Okay, there we go. So you can see if you don't have something, then it would pop up in red and how many more you need. And it'll do the same thing for gear. So it'll show all the gear and you can sort by needed to see if there's any gear remaining that you would need to take them up to whatever relic or gear level you tell them. So you could build out a whole team here and say, okay, I'm going to work on my Old Republic. So I want my Jedi Knight Revan and I want my Jolie Bendo, all to be Relic 8, Relic 10 to support my new Satil Shan team coming, then hey, here's what is necessary and remaining in order to take them up. So I will need a total of 80 impulse detectors, 80 arrow magnifiers, and I still have enough. But if I say, all right, we're going to take Revan to 9, suddenly that number has changed, and I now, instead of only needing 3, I need 23. I now need 100 of each of those. And so it can help you plan and be ready for teams that you need, farms. You could even just plug in straight away. For example, those working towards Hondo right now, boom, Hondo in, all the requirements at the relic levels, and it'll show you everything you need. Mine's going to be 0 for everything since I have him unlocked, but this is a really great way to see farms and to plan. So this is just kind of a taste, an overview of what you can do with Hotutils. I know this video has gotten a little long, but it's definitely very, I hope, useful to everybody who watches it and uses it to see how to do certain aspects of modding, or to use Hotutils, and hopefully maybe is a reason to convince you that you might want to actually pick it up and use it. I use this thing every day. I'm using it right now while we're talking to update and post our orders for TB. And so it is something that it just, with the raid and as often as we have to do it, I think personally it is well worth the $10 a month to save your sanity, save your time, and to make your life a lot faster and easier when it comes to modding. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that's some good information. If you have any questions, I am happy to try to answer any. I am by no means the expert with all of this. I do not know all of it. As I have showed with several things, I don't even play with it. I know that it can be done, but I don't mess with it, so I am not an expert. I use it just to try to make my life easier. And hopefully if you end up getting it, it does the same for you.